First things first, I'ma say all the words inside my head. I'm fired up and tired of the way that things have been. Oh, ooh, the way that things have been. Oh, ooh. I was broken from a young age, taking my soak into the masses, writing my poems for the few that look at me, took to me, shook at me, feeling me, singing from heartache, from the pain, taking my message from the veins, speaking my lesson from the brain, seeing the beauty through the. Hey, you burn me up, believer, believer. Hey, my life, my love, my life, it came from. Hey, you burn me up, believer, believer. First things first, I'ma say all the words inside my head. I'm fired up and tired of the way that things have been. Oh, ooh, the way that things have been. Oh, ooh. I was broken from a young age, taking my soak into the masses, writing my poems for the few that look at me, took to me, shook at me, feeling me, singing from heartache, from the pain, taking my message from the veins, speaking my lesson from the brain, seeing the beauty through the. Hey, you burn me up, believer, believer. Hey, my life, my love, my life, it came from. Hey, you burn me up, have been. Oh, ooh, the way that things have been. Oh, ooh. I was broken from a young age, taking my soak into the masses, writing my poems for the few that look at me, took to me, shook at me, feeling me, singing from heartache, from the pain, taking my message from the veins, speaking my lesson from the brain, seeing the beauty through the. Hey, you burn me up, you burn me up, believer, believer. Hey, my life, my love, my life, it came from. Hey, you burn me up, you burn me up, believer, believer.
Stanno cambiando vari paradigmi, innanzitutto innovazione, sostenibilità, ma anche tante donne alla guida di tante aziende siderurgiche.
Tradizionalmente era un ambiente dominato da uomini, ma negli ultimi anni stiamo vedendo un'inversione di rotta.
Perché si deve cambiare. Chi non cambia probabilmente non potrà sopravvivere. L'importante è non dimenticare le proprie radici.
Perché la nostra responsabilità non si ferma più soltanto alla siderurgia, ma anche ai territori e alle comunità in cui operiamo.
Io vedo una siderurgia nuova, diversa e soprattutto evoluta.
Anche le aziende sono stati agenti di cambiamento. Formazione per valorizzare il capitale umano, ma soprattutto per attuare i cambiamenti. Sin dagli anni 90 il presidente, l'ingegner Benedetti, ha investito sulla formazione in primis, ma anche sulla famiglia, sulle donne lavoratrici, con la realizzazione di un asilo nido, di una scuola dell'infanzia, di una scuola primaria e adesso anche scuola secondaria di primo grado. Grazie all'Academy si partiva con prima di tutto la formazione dei vertici, perché è da lì che si comincia a cambiare la testa delle persone.
ArcelorMittal ha l'obiettivo di aumentare le quote rosa ai vertici, ha un programma per ridurre la gender gap come per esempio Women in Leadership, programmi di mentoring e la promozione dei giovani talenti. In senso più ampio in ArcelorMittal si vorrebbe avere una popolazione sempre più eterogenea, in modo che non si debba più sensibilizzare il personale, noi stessi, al tema dell'inclusione e della diversità, ma anzi si veda questa diversità come una peculiarità individuale che crea un valore aggiunto per l'azienda stessa.
La leadership femminile rappresenta un motore di trasformazione all'interno delle organizzazioni per ottenere un vantaggio competitivo duraturo, lungimirante e inclusivo. Sono entrata in azienda e ho iniziato a seguire diversi progetti di sostenibilità e innovazione, quale ad esempio l'introduzione appunto di un nuovo sistema IRP. Non è stato solamente un motivo per ottenere un miglioramento di efficienza operativa, ma per trasformare la cultura aziendale.
Il mio ingresso in azienda penso che abbia rappresentato un grande cambiamento, un doppio cambiamento, ovvero l'ingresso di una donna in un settore prettamente tradizionalmente maschile e soprattutto l'ingresso di una donna in un ruolo ben preciso, ovvero il ruolo di sustainability manager. Non è solo un simbolo, ma rappresenta un valore, ovvero il valore del cambiamento. Ecco che la donna, con le sue competenze, con la sua sensibilità, penso che possa portare un grande valore aggiunto.
Ma senza la parte sociale sicuramente la siderurgia non può essere innovativa. E io mi occupo proprio di questo, di diversità, inclusione e benessere all'interno di Feralpi Group. E uno dei progetti che ho seguito di recente è proprio l'inserimento di donne nel cuore pulsante dell'acciaieria. È una prima iniziativa ed è fondamentale perché senza l'autonomia economica anche le figure femminili non possono poi avere una vita che si prospetta positiva e felice. Quindi è un gancio importantissimo anche all'interno della società.
Io sono la prima generazione di donne nella mia azienda. Quindi sento tantissimo la responsabilità di attivare un cambiamento culturale che sia molto più inclusivo e sostenibile. Siamo molto orgogliosi perché abbiamo appena raggiunto la certificazione di genere, quindi abbiamo iniziato da piccolissime cose, però per esempio avere uno spogliatoio femminile, stiamo riuscendo ad assumere anche delle personale femminili in ruoli che prima erano prettamente maschili.
Io il futuro me lo immagino pieno di speranza, dove le radici del passato diventano le storie del domani. Sento molto il tema della continuità, anche perché non ho figli. Per questo sto favorendo la managerializzazione dell'azienda, ma sto anche coinvolgendo la terza generazione per dare loro strumenti e consapevolezza per svolgere in maniera professionale e competente il loro ruolo di soci.
Quando ho iniziato eravamo pochissime e mi sono sentita un po' una pioniera. La siderurgia che vedo oggi invece è molto più femminile e molto più accogliente. Oggi trovo molte donne in posti assolutamente importanti di prestigio e vado fiera del fatto che così tante donne abbiano voluto inserirsi in questo mondo così maschile e così difficile. Perché le donne, secondo me, riescono a coinvolgere maggiormente le persone, riescono a portare le proprie idee e il proprio entusiasmo anche a persone che magari sono un po' più restie a fare squadra.
Io ho iniziato la mia carriera con un papà che non avrebbe mai creduto che nessuna delle sue 3 figlie avrebbe continuato il suo lavoro in siderurgia. Io sono presidente e mio marito amministratore delegato. Sono stata la prima donna presidente del Comitato Piccola Industria della nostra Confindustria locale. Sono stata la prima donna alla presidenza di Fondazione della Comunità Bresciana, una delle espressioni di filantropia maggiori all'interno della nostra città bresciana.
Acciaio al femminile è un progetto nato in capo a Siderweb con l'obiettivo di occuparsi per la prima volta in siderurgia di temi come la diversity e la leadership al femminile. Ma non è un progetto solo per le donne e dedicato alle donne, perché è un progetto che di fatto guarda a un modo nuovo di essere impresa oggi, a una nuova cultura manageriale e imprenditoriale. Perché sì, ne sono convinta, c'è un nuovo orizzonte di fronte a noi, un orizzonte dove la cultura di impresa cambierà, dove la leadership sarà nuova, dove i colori saranno accesi, dove le aziende saranno davvero luoghi di diversity, luoghi di accoglienza, luoghi di fiducia, dove le persone davvero potranno stare bene. In questo senso la community di Acciaio al femminile ascolterà quelle che sono le voci dell'essere donna oggi, ascolterà le voci di questo orizzonte che noi vediamo di fronte a noi.
Good afternoon, everybody. A great round of applause for all the women who participated in this video. Welcome to this third day of Made in Steel, the conference and exhibition dedicated to the steel sector. Today is a very special one and a very thrilling one inside this show, which we titled The Beauty of Steel. As we repeated throughout these 3 days, the real beauty is being together, is being here, all together in this community that is becoming larger and larger every year. It is becoming a place, a room for encounter, for coming together. We love to consider Made in Steel as a cultural platform in which ideas come to life. The idea is growing together. Today is a special day for different reasons. First of all, we are thrilled and moved by the fact that we can talk about our projects in Made in Steel. I would like to thank my father because he gave me and my brother all the room we needed, all the space we needed to do what we like. Acciaio al Femminile, Women in Steel, is a project that was born inside Siderweb 3 years ago. The goal was to create a network, create a community inside Siderweb, not because we want to create further stereotypes regarding women. We don't want to do that. The goal is to change a sector in which only 5% of the workforce is represented by women. So you got a chance to listen to different voices, female voices. I would like to thank all these women because they were brave enough to take the floor and to speak in this video and in this adventure. We know we lead our companies and we need to change, to increase that percentage of 5% of women employed in the steel making sector. We have a further chance to do business together. Yesterday we talked together with Mr. Macegalli and Mr. Bernabé. They both said that there is a new way of understanding this sector in which human beings are at the very heart of the industry. So we are going to welcome extraordinary persons, extraordinary women here on the stage. And not only women, in fact, Paolo Bricco will interview in a short time Emma Marcegaglia. I would like to thank her for her participation. Emma Marcegaglia has many features, has many characteristics as a businesswoman. She embodies the steel adventure. She has steel roots. She was a pioneer. She was the first woman being president at Confindustria, so the Confederation of Italian businesses. She represents the sense of belonging to the community of steel makers, of steel manufacturers. Then we will have a round table in which we will be talking about contamination. For the first time, we will welcome the CEO at Illy Caffè, Cristina Scocchia. We will host Cristiana Scelza, Executive Vice President of Electrification at Prysmian. I would like to thank both for their participation and for this possibility of talking about contamination. Then we will have Isabella Malfredi, Chief Sustainability and Communications Officer at Feralpi Group. She helped us understand these new changes that are happening in the sector, and we are going to focus on the future of the Academy. And finally, my greatest emotion today is presenting the book Glass Ceilings, Roots of Steel. This book will be published by Sole 24 Ore and it will be available tomorrow. So I felt this need because I really wanted to do something to change the small sector we are living in. I love to do storytelling, I love to narrate and to tell stories. What I tried in this book, he was putting together different stories of different women. I would like to thank Margherita Corsi from Corriere della Sera. Well, in this book, I tried to connect these different stories about women. In my opinion, all these stories had something in common. Obviously, you will find in this reading your own interpretation, but the common trait is the fact that all these women kept on being women. They didn't stop being women. They just decided to work with following their vocation in a world made of men, in a sector in which the most employees are men. So I would like to thank Corriere della Sera because they gave me the chance to tell the story of my great-grandmother, Nonna Fiorina. She got the degree in Milan as a midwife, and she has always been moved by what she did. She was very human. I think that humanism in the steelmaking sector can be a new key to interpret new challenges and new stories. I try to put all these stories together. Today, we are going to give life to these stories on this stage. I would like to thank Paolo Bricco and Emma Marcegaglia for this first round table that will happen very soon. So please join me on the stage, and thank you everybody for coming. It's so many of you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for this great opportunity. So, we have been speaking about change. This term, change, has been repeated over and over again in this beautiful movie we have just watched, which had no stereotypes inside. Today we have the chance of listening to the point of view of one of the women, Italian women, who did a lot for change. And at the same time, a woman who managed to create a very important network, not only at a national level, but also at an international one. We will delve into the topic of roots. And we will be talking about all the glass ceilings that we still need to break. Today, we are seeing a little change. It is not enough. Every morning we read a newspaper and we read about disrupting things, complex things that 6 months ago would have never been thought about or imagined. Donald Trump defined Mr. Powell, the chief at the Federal Reserve, as a stupid person. This morning we read on the New York Times about a first possible agreement between the US and Great Britain with a new intention, aggressive intentions towards the rest of the world. So we are seeing a little change, actually. Well, thank you. Thank you very much, Francesca and Paolo, for this beautiful chat and for this beautiful interview. Yes, we are going through really bad times, very complicated ones. When I became president of Confindustria in 2008, I wondered whether they were giving me the presidency after 200 years. Actually, we were going through the worst time in our history. We were in the middle of a financial crisis, and I had to be president. So we are now going through another very difficult time. Changes are huge in the present. We found ourselves in a different situation. The past has been characterized by other global wars, but all the main players were on the same side. The United States were a dominant country, a great power. The United States represented the happy globalization, the happy growth. Then other things happened. For example, take, for instance, the financial downturn in which globalization started to slow down. Then the pandemic arrived. Two new wars arrived, and you know that yesterday a new risk rose up, the possible war between Pakistan and India. They are both nuclear powers and they have always hated each other. So this is a very complicated planet in which no one is ruling. It looks like strength or force are the only dominating factors. There are no longer strong alliances. Everyone goes on their own. And no doubt the appointment of Mr. Trump to President of the United States just enlarged and amplified this change. First of all, we need to take into account the tariffs policy. We are heading a new direction. After years and years in which the globalization has gone down, after years and years of open markets, we are now in a situation in which one person, Mr. Trump, decides to dictate tariffs all over the world, even though those tariffs will not be set at 25%. Even if it were lower, we would be at a higher degree compared to the whole history of tariffs. So we are experiencing a problem that is an economic problem, a political problem, so we run the risk of giving up on many social progress we achieved thanks to globalization and open markets. But there is something more on top of that. In fact, today we are going to face these additional problems, which is the approach to diversity and inclusion. In fact, Mr. Trump decided to revoke all the policies related to sustainability and gender equality. Not only this, but also he ordered Italian companies who work a lot in the United States with several branches to do the same. Yes, and on top of that, a serious problem is a lack of answer, a lack of reaction from the side of society, because many banks have accepted these new policies of President Trump. Yes, these are negative changes. I had the chance to study in the United States. For so many of us, the United States were the most exciting place in which to study. At the New York University, yes, in that time, New York University was the Mecca, the most beautiful place in which to study. For example, yes, New York State University and Columbia University. Competition was rich, and it was so because there was a full absorption of all what all was considered as not institutional. Yes, so you just experienced that. Yes, United States were considered as a check and balance place. You know, United States have always been represented by a president with a suitcase and with check and balance. And it looks like Powell decided not to cut interest rates, because he fears further inflation, and he has been defined as a stupid man by President Trump. So we are living in a time that is characterized by huge changes. Antonio and other speakers yesterday said that the world is not over. We are not finished yet. We are not over. Trump is just amplifying an ongoing change, and maybe he's doing so because in the past several mistakes were made. I will say something that it may be perceived as incorrect, as not fair. This woke policy, we always protect people, we always say that solidarity is everything we can do, equality is the only thing we need to care about. This is good, I know, but sometimes maybe we have been too heavy on that. In fact, a part of the population could react badly, saying, no, I'm not okay with immigration, not okay with all these immigrants from Mexico, for example. I'm not okay with all these gender equality policies. So Trump is just amplifying an historical phase. Maybe we should not be that scared. Maybe Trump just thought that the most important things for the US are treasury bonds, dollars. The fact that everyone thought that his policies will bring to a recession in the United States. And so don't be afraid. We shouldn't be afraid, because as it was repeated here and in other roundtables, we are entrepreneurs and we need to be prepared. We need to get ready for complicated scenarios. We need to be ready to dream again, to be sustainable. So the world is not over. Our work is not over. And I hope that this excess of Mr. Trump will be over soon, because at the end of the day, President Trump has economic interests, and he will realize soon that his policies of him are frightening the whole world. So this is negative, I know, but it may be positive too, because it could be an opportunity for Europe to wake up. Maybe this is a wake-up call for Europe. Europe needs to be shaken. Europe was not shaken by the 3-year war in Ukraine. It was not shaken enough by the pandemic. So hopefully these policies by Mr. Trump are going to be a wake-up call for Europe, a real one. Okay, thank you, Emma. You described a US president that is the final result of a long historical cycle. He's a man, he's a white man, he's usually aggressive, verbally speaking, when he speaks, sorry. The question is, to which extent your father was in line with the main characteristics of a man of that time. We had the chance to talk about your father, and in fact, your father's story perfectly depicts the story of our country. For you as a daughter, it was necessary to dialogue with that kind of man. Yes, in the meantime, I can tell you that Trump posted on Truth a picture of him and the Pope. And my father said in that time that he wanted to become king and he wanted to become the president, the dictator of Italy. So I'm kind of romantic. I become kind of romantic when I talk about my father. He was very much in line with the main traits of men from the 30s. He was a genius. He was poor, but he managed to become rich. He was he studied engineering, and then he also studied law. But he always defended farmers. Then he had this beautiful chance, and he was lucky enough to become owner of a small company in the north of Italy. So he became owner of this small business, and then he started to grow, to make his company grow. So yes, he was in line with the main characteristics of their time. In that period, many women and men just reinvented the Italy of the second post-war period. So my father was like that. He had incredible skills and abilities. He knew how to calculate, how to do calculations. So when he talked to his colleagues, he knew what the turnover was. He was just able to make calculations very, very quickly. And he also had a vision, a great ability to look forward on the long run. A few days before he passed away, I was meeting Antonio in a reunion, and we were saying that we should have done this and that, this and this in the next 10 years. And I remember that my father has always acted with empathy. He was very close to people, and this was the main trait, the fundamental characteristic of his force, of his strength. But trust me, he knew all the workers in the factory. On Sunday, he would go there to shake hands with them. He accompanied the managers, and I'm telling this even today. He died several years ago, and when I walk through my city, people stop me and they tell me, you know, your father, Emma, helped my father. In fact, he funded him, he gave them money, he gave him money, he gave him a job, and so on. So people still have a beautiful memory of my father, and this is what I remember regarding Antonio: ethics, human value, and also the ability to look forward, to look on the long run, and the capacity to interpret the company as a good for the whole community.
Negotiations. In other words, other people never viewed as a tool, but as an end. My father was a great negotiator. I remember we used to buy steel from the Chinese, the Russian, the Ukrainians. They came to Italy, they had absolutely nothing. He used to take them to the best restaurants, gave them the best possible wine, and then at 1 a.m. they started negotiating. So, a great negotiator who always got the best, with full respect to the other. I never saw my father conclude a negotiation where the other person was defeated. He did the best for the good of our company, a company that, of course, had to be profitable, without and never ever offending or humiliating the counterpart. And we have very strong relationships, long-term relationships with our suppliers, with our customers. The company for us is something including all our catchment area. But he was an amazing negotiator. I remember once when I was very young, I wanted to buy in Brazil a backpack. It was, say, 1,000 lira at that time. He started negotiating. I wanted the backpack. He wanted to pay only 300. The other one did not want that amount of money, and I was left without a backpack. Or I used to go to the supermarket on Sundays, and I used to buy fruit juice as if it was steel. So he came home with 10,000 fruit juices. And for years and years and years, I mean, if you came to visit us, we didn't even ask if you wanted a coffee. You got your own fruit juice, just to say that he had this amazing approach to negotiation. Well, family capitalism frequently has the following problem. Grand entrepreneurs actually destroy their offspring. How did it work with you and your brother? How come you were not totally caterpillared by such an amazing personality? Well, my father was really an amazing person, had an incredibly strong ego, without a strong ego, you couldn't do what he actually did. But we were lucky enough because Dad actually gave us room to grow. I'm younger, much younger than Antonio. Actually, we're only 2 years apart. So anyway, I was coming after my father, who's a genius, Antonio, who was working in the company and was excellent. And I thought, it's not going to be easy for me. You know, sometimes you make some decisions and you do not know which is the reason for that. But I thought perhaps I should work outside the company as a start. So I did something different and then actually came back to the company. So I made the decision to do something different and then come back to our company and remain there. I've always had an institutional role, today not so much, but this was probably the way to find my own space. And then gradually, Antonio and myself had more and more possibilities. We've grown together, we love each other, we share the same values, so we have worked together with Dad and with Mommy for many, many years. And when Dad died, the pain was horrible, but we were ready, we were prepared. My father used to say, I'm the first generation, you are sort of first and second generation. And we continued, following the very same ethics, the very same values. We doubled our company, we made it more international. And of course, you have specialized, you and your brother have specialized. Yes, of course. We are 50-50. He is production and trade. I'm more finance and administration, but we decide our strategies together. And I think that this is absolutely beautiful. And thank you very much for mentioning this when we were having lunch. I mean, there's a lot of agreement, harmony, we share the same values, and we both feel extremely responsible for what we have. So we do not quarrel, because we know that a quarrel would cause harm to the company. And working together, I mean, even though sometimes we have opposite views, gradually we always manage to get closer to each other, and hopefully we end up making the best choice. So there is a convergence mechanism. And being the children of such a close couple, did that help you? I mean, who was your mother? My mother was an extraordinary woman, less charismatic than Dad. She was a little bit shy, but Father's success was actually due to the presence of my mum, who was the mother of the whole company. Because silently she used to take care of the people. They've always been very close to each other. And I would like to add the following. I have always been brought up with the principles of equality. I had the very same rights and duties as Antonio. But I remember that until a short time ago, and thank you, Francesca, for writing this book, but until 20 years ago, in our industry, during succession, when the owner died, the sons inherited the company, and the women inherited flats and buildings outside of the company. But in our family, this was not the case. I've always been brought up in gender equality, and seeing my mother and father, who have always been together. They were a granite couple. A couple in life and a couple at work as well. And I believe that for Antonio and myself, this has been a very positive example. Have things changed in the steel industry apart from the equity in succession? Do you believe that women have more weight today, or do we still have a long way to go? Well, the cases presented by Francesca I mean, we do not have fabulous percentage values. 5% in primary and 13% in first processing companies. The gap is still huge. But I agree with Francesca and with what I heard from the other entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs. Things are changing. We have excellent entrepreneur women, CEO women, women taking care of administration and finance for the whole company. I mean, it is the beginning, but we still have a long way to go because percentage values are still very low. And this is true in the whole manufacturing industry. Well, you have been the first chairwoman in Confindustria, but you were also the chairwoman of the young section of Confindustria at the time of the alpha male. Well, that has been the most amazing experience in my life. I was 29, being the president of the young entrepreneurs. I was vice president or deputy president of Confindustria, sitting next to Mr. Agnelli, Mr. Romiti, Mr. Marzotto, Mr. Pesenti, this kind of people. And I was the only woman. And I was 29, and all the others were the age of my father or grandfather. So there was also an age gap, a significant age gap. So I thought, what am I doing here? Well, I thought, let's start with listening. Keep quiet and listen. Then gradually, they looked at me and said, oh, you look very pretty. Anyway, when I started getting prepared, women always have to be 100% prepared. So before taking the floor, for the first time, I had learned everything possible. So I gave my first presentation. And these alpha male entrepreneurs, realizing that I was a serious person, a person who studied, they actually listened to me and they helped me, they supported me. They gave me advice. So my experience was not a simple one, but it was highly rewarding because these top managers and entrepreneurs accepted me and helped me. We're talking about super individuals. Amongst the ones you mentioned, Mr. Agnelli, Mr. Romiti, who do you recall in terms of being a person understanding that the time had come to have women joining in? A person I did not mention, a very dear friend of me, Mr. Vittorio Merloni. Mr. Vittorio Merloni. Can you give us an example, an episode? When I became the chairwoman of Confindustria, he talked to the press saying, am I the right person? That was before the elections. I mean, he really thought it was time to have a woman. And he thought I was the right person. What do women make wrong? You can say that. You mean in the company or in general? When they have to manage the power. Everywhere, in the companies, in politics, in culture. Well, in my opinion, if you talk about the people my age, so the pioneers, they used to make a mistake which women today do no longer make. I also made this mistake, that is, when you got to the power, you just emulated what men were doing. And that's a mistake, because you have to manage power in your own way. On the other hand, in some cases, I have seen women with the role of power being afraid of wielding the power. I mean, if you have the power, you have to use it. Otherwise, others will use it. So these are weaknesses linked to the fact that women are not used to having power. Men have been having power for thousands of years, which is not our case. So I've also made this mistake at the beginning. I repented that, but at the beginning I thought I am the only woman in this context, and that's beautiful because I'm unique. Of course not. I've understood that we should network more. When I have time, I try to act as a mentor for new women, young women, telling them about my experience, my mistakes, giving them advice. So women must acquire more self-assurance. They need to speak up when necessary. We were talking about this with the other girls. We like to refer to ourselves as girls, notwithstanding our age. So we used to say that in some cases, empathetic and inclusive leadership is paramount. This is a very important value, and women have this capability. But this should not become something that takes away from you respect from others. So if people are aggressive and they are not correct, then I react. So you need to be able to defend yourself. If you have the power, but you do not have the capability to manage the power, which does not mean, power goes hand in hand with responsibility. If you love power as such and have no project, no people supporting you, if you don't defend your people, then it's just a stupid personal exercise that serves no purpose and leads to self-destruction. But if you manage the power with responsibility, because you have a project in your company, a project with the institutions and authorities, and you must be able to defend yourself if other people are aggressive towards you, if they attack you without any reason. That's another mistake that women make sometimes. They think, they're going to judge me as the nasty one. Of course not. If you have the power, you must use your power in the best possible way because you have that responsibility. And if they attack you unfairly, then you must react. So we're talking of a context characterized by manufacturing. We know that the percentage of women is very low, but in this context, everything has changed. In a wider context, everything has changed. Think about Mrs. Schlein, Mrs. Meloni, who is surrounded by women. There are very few men left. So in Milan, the 5 most important cultural institutions are all managed by female deans. In Brussels, we have Mrs. von der Leyen. So things have really changed. I agree. Big steps forward have been made. And you're right. Maybe in politics and in other fields, the situation has progressed more. But that's a different world. I mean, I was actually talking about the time when I started, 1996, 2000. So things have changed, and we can read this in the book. I mean, statistical data show that we still have a long way to go. Employment rate 53 versus 71, women and men respectively, much lower than in the rest of Europe. Very few female students study mathematics, physics, and all those disciplines. So we still have a long way to go, but the situation has certainly improved. Could you give one advice to the girls and women who are here with us today? I'm talking about very young ones. Well, my advice is nurture your dream and bring it to completion. Don't be influenced by your family. If you want to study something, study it. Don't allow your husband to influence you. So have a dream, work for your dream, because we have to say that when you do something positive, when you're successful, it means you have really worked a lot. So you have to work very hard. You have to commit yourself. But chase your dream. Don't be curbed by externalities, be it your family of origin, your husband, your boss. Go your own way and fulfill your dream. What can we men do for this? Because otherwise, there's always the risk that we ask questions, but we don't listen to the answers.
Well, be more respectful, first of all. One of the problems for which women have a lower employment rate, and in the book a statistic appears, and it says that 1 woman out of 5 after having a baby, well, they stop working. So this is a problem. The way family burden or family business, family things are managed, and in most of cases the family is managed by the woman, by the mother. So you should deal with that. You old men should deal with that. You should organize things in your family as well, not only in your business. But this is not my case. I don't usually take care of my family. Actually, I need to be taken care. Which woman, did you meet, and which woman did impressed you the most? Angela Merkel, women from the United States, in politics. I mean, who really impressed you? Who did you draw inspiration from? Okay, I had a chance to meet in Chernobyl Hillary Clinton after she lost the elections, and I found her very smart. I thought she is, and I think she is a very smart woman. Maybe she just removed the mask she has always used throughout her whole life, also the mask with which she just tolerated her husband, and I think that Hillary Clinton is a wonderful woman, a very human person, very nice. I was impressed by this because her public image was completely different. And in order to close the circle now, at the inaugurational speech of Donald Trump, she was the only one to laugh in his face when Trump said that the Gulf of Mexico would have soon be named the Gulf of America, and she was the one to laugh. By laughing, she said that the king was naked. So she was just making fun of Trump. Thank you very much, Emma, for this chat. Please remember that in this interview there is in this book, there is an interview with Emma Marcegaglia. So we strongly recommend that you buy it. Yes, and this interview has been written by Paolo. That's why he's recommending you to buy the book. He's recommending you that you buy the book. Thank you, Emma, and thanks, Paolo. Thank you very much, and especially I would like to thank you for this very nice dialogue we had. This was a beautiful chit-chat, and thank you for telling us this anecdote. The foreword was written by Paolo in this book, and Emma too. So some of these things you have just listened to, you can find them in the foreword of the book. My father, when I was young, asked me what kind of job I wanted to do when I would have been adult, and I always answered that I wanted to be like Emma Marcegaglia. So this is a perfect way to close the circle. I don't want to spare your time now. I will now ask the journalist from Corriere della Sera, Rita Quercé, to join me on the stage. Rita, you wrote a book too. Donne e lavoro, rivoluzione in 6 mosse. Women and work, revolution in 6 actions. Yes, we could give it a try because women want to do business, and to do so we should, change the way we work. So you can introduce our new guest. Yes, but please stay with us, don't go. I will now invite on the stage Isabella Manfredi from Feralpi. She's Chief Sustainability and Communications Officer. I will invite onto the stage Cristiana Scelza, Executive Vice President Electrification at Prismian Group and President at Valore D, and Cristina Scocchia, CEO of Illy Cafe. You probably know her already. So, girls, I will call you by that name, since Emma called you girls as well. We have a very important responsibility. This chit-chat we had, this interview with Emma Marcegaglia was really authentic, was real, and we need to be as real as she was. I would like to be in line with her, and I love the title, Women Who Do Business. This title has 2 different versions. Women do business because we experience the business, we live in our businesses, and we truly want to keep on being there and to grow there. But we also do business because it has a price. It is a burden. It means that we need to sacrifice to make many efforts. In fact, to access a business, a woman needs to work hard, very, very hard. We had the chance to do a briefing before, and we agreed upon 4 macro areas. I would like to know your standpoint on these macro areas. Please feel free to talk directly, frankly, and in an easygoing way, okay? We have about 60 minutes, and you have 15 minutes each. Emma Marcegaglia has already talked about this, and I would like to connect with this. At which stage are we? Is the glass half empty or half full when it comes to gender equality and the presence of women in businesses? On one hand, and as Pauso Brico said, there are so many women in politics, so many women presidents, female presidents, but if I take a look at numbers, figures, female CEOs must be 21 in Italy, no more than that. And also women entrepreneurs are not so many. In the board of directors, there are a few women, and listed companies are a lot. We live in a country with thousands of companies, family-run businesses and so on. But women are a few in the board of directors. So, Cristiana Scelza, you play a role as a manager, but you also work for Valore D. This is a representative association that takes actions on this line, on this front. Okay, I will start with figures, and then I will answer you. So, by reading the global gender gap records of the World Economic Forum, we will need 134 years to reach gender equality on the job, and Italy is going back. Italy is taking steps back. In 2024, we reached the 84th place in the classifying. And the classifying is made of more than 100 countries. Compared to Europe, the gap is evident. In Italy, 1 woman out of 2 is working, so 53% when compared to a European average of 66%. And as for C-suite positions, 4% are CEO, 3.9, and 5.7 are CFOs. So figures don't encourage us. Figures are not positive at all. But in the private sector, maybe we can see some more interesting and encouraging data. In the private sector, we have 20% in terms of executive. As for CFOs, the number is even higher. So we have encouraging data in the private sectors. Even though numbers don't encourage us, I can see a very good improvement. And I can talk about science and technology related businesses or work or jobs. If we take a look at young women with less than 35 years, many of them are CEOs in technological startups. So science and technology is an accelerating factor for gender equality. What is preventing us from reaching gender equality? Obviously, what was said is extremely true. In fact, women still take care of their family more than men, more than their husbands. We rank second only after Portugal in terms of hours not paid, hours spent at home to take care of the family. In the private sector, businesses are doing a lot. In Valore D, the 90% of businesses is helping women and is spending and investing on company population welfare. But the same has to be done. The same goes for the public sector. You're telling this because companies need women. Is that right? Because at the end of the day, women do want to participate in the public realm, in the public sector, because women autonomy and independence depends on that too. But enterprises, especially in this phase, in a country with a birth rate that is going down year after year, well, in a situation like this, if male engineers are over, then we need to take and to welcome female engineers. We need women in enterprises. This is a pragmatic remark, but I think that it could be useful to introduce more women in our companies. Both in the private and in the public sector, in a time in which there are no talents, there are no skills, you cannot discriminate anymore. We read every day that young people are leaving Italy. There is a brain drop that is tragic. So you can't discriminate anymore between men and women, and not only between men and women. Now, Cristina Scocchia, what do you think about this? You are a woman who works in the first line, in the front line, and being in the front line is complicated, it's complex. Yes, exactly. It's like being in a foxhole every day. Please allow me to start with an anecdote, with a story, and I will be short, I can swear. This story starts in June of 1902. This day was special because this is the day and the month in which Milanese people woke up because they were listening to voices of 17 to 18 years old. These women were tailors and they worked every day. They were not paid. They were treated very, very badly, very, very roughly, and they had no rights, okay? So they demonstrated in the streets, and the chief of the demonstration, the leader, was a 15-year-old girl. They managed to get their first rights being acknowledged. Then the First World War came. Soldiers left, they went to war, and women found themselves doing jobs that they couldn't do before. So women started to work as nurses. They were sent to the front to be nurses, to work as nurses. In Caporetto, a battle that Italy dramatically lost, they were employed. They stayed there, they became prisoners, and they didn't give up. So these women, these young girls, started to give proof of the fact that they were brave, extremely brave. Then the first women doctors arrived. They couldn't be doctors in England. Then what did they do? Well, they went to the front in France. Soldiers realized that it was better to be treated by a women doctor than dying. Then the first secretaries came. In the 1920s, many women were secretaries. The problem was that when these secretaries got married, they got fired too. There was no law. You were a woman, you got married, then you got fired too. We needed to wait until 1956 to finish with this, to end up with this. So this year was very important because we saw the first women work as magistrates, as judges. So I think that we should see the glass half full. I'm one of those women who needs to fight with this alpha man system, and I do it every day, but still I'm happy. I'm happy in spite of everything. I'm happy for myself, I'm happy for every woman, because I think that all those obstacles our generation and the previous one needed to overcome, all those obstacles will be useful for the next generations. And all the battles made by women will be useful for the next generations of women. When I got in a C-suit, I feel that I am one of the few female CEO. And sometimes I feel embarrassed, but we need to go further. We need to go beyond this debate. We need to start to understand that we are people. The fact that we are men or women should not have importance. Nobody should care about it. Everybody should care, on the other hand, about talents of people. If someone is good at what they do, then they need to advance in their career. If the war is tough, if the battle is hard, you need to field the right players, you need to field the right team, and then you will have greater chances to win negotiations and so on and so forth. So the difference should be between those who are good at what they do and those who are bad at what they do. What you said is extremely interesting. In fact, if we take a look at figures, we see that so many girls and women obtain wonderful results at school, at the university. Then where do they end up? Because we don't see the same amount of women in organizations and companies. If they were good before at the university, why shouldn't be able and good on the job? Okay, can I answer this? And then I will leave the floor to someone else. There are two reasons here, and one was shown before. The first one is the load, is the degree of job at home. In the 70 or 80% of cases, women take care of their families. The other reason is that at a cultural level, not only in Italy, but also in other countries, there is no awareness of the fact that men and women have the same right to have a beautiful career. This is not a concession made to men or to women. We keep on saying that a man who has a career is a leader. And we keep on saying that a woman who wants to have a beautiful career is ambitious, okay? Everyone has the right to be ambitious. We shouldn't be blamed as women for being ambitious. Ambition is something everybody must have. So it is a cultural problem, okay? This is the origin, this is the root this is the cause of the problem. Okay, very interesting. Then we are going to focus on that later on. Isabella, I know that in Feralpi, and generally speaking in the steelmaking sector, everybody is working to involve women more and to take them on board, to hire more women. How can we fill this glass so that it is half full and not half empty, or just full? Okay, thank you very much. Thank you to the previous speakers, and I would like to thank Francesca for taking these initiatives and for the courage she had. Before I talk about the tangible example of the sector we work in, or the sector that is hosting us today, I would like to connect with the question you posed and with the speech given by Paola and Demma. In fact, only a few women are CEOs today. Let's take a look at what happens around us, for example, the European markets. For instance, I know very well the German market. The European Parliament did not confirm Merz, but Merz was confirmed at the second round of votes. And two beautiful things regarding women happened. Sometimes probably we didn't realize that. The first thing was that, like Emma said, today we are going through a very harsh time, and when harsh times arrive, women are called to lead ministries. In fact, this is what happened in Germany. Schelling is the name of the woman who is now minister of economy and finance in Germany. So this is a very difficult time for Germany, and again, when she was summoned to deal with difficult situations, she managed to deliver good results. Germany is not growing anymore. In Germany they are in a stagnation period, and now that they need women, they have summoned this minister. Well, we hope to turn on a light by telling these stories of women, because these stories are about education, culture. The second ministry was assigned to Plena. This is an Israeli woman, and trust me, in Germany, in a moment like this, with a new rise of nationalism, with new tensions, and with new aggressions towards migrants, the fact that an Israeli woman is now minister is very important. So the glass is half full, but we still have a long way to go. I'm telling you all this because we live in a sector, we work in a sector that is changing day by day. In the steel industry, there is a lot of pragmatism. People want to do tangible things. Challenges are seen as common battles and not as individual ones. So the goal of Ferrapi was making industrial processes accessible for women too, through innovation, through digitalization. And a further goal was making this access as a fascinating one. We wanted to call women, we wanted to summon women in this sector. We need to compete in an ever-changing world. Women are a synonym of democracy, of competencies, of skills, of value. We don't want women just because they because it is established in ESG policies. We want women because they represent a cultural revolution. Our group started to introduce women workers in the steel mills, the most complex part of the company, and we trained them. We prepared trainers to train women and the new generations. We need to talk about the value of science and technologies in schools. We need to help our managers tell that this sector is changing, but it is also true that companies have to change from inside. And this is not an easy task. Changing overnight is not possible. A declaration, a statement is not enough. A policy is not enough. So we need to support companies so that they can evolve. We need to be real, we need to be authentic when we do that. Accountability is built only if you act together. And women have a further value, have an additional value, because if a target is set, if a target is established, then everyone works to reach that goal. A positive leader doesn't say that that is a target, you need to accomplish that. No, the real leader works with you, helps you reach the target. And this is what needs to be done. In the steel sector, we have this mindset, and we have the same mindset. Thank you.
Francesca, what do you think about all what we've heard? Do you agree? This example of the Minister of the German economy makes me think that maybe when there is something particularly complex to deal with, then all of a sudden there is some space also for a woman. Maybe because some men are withdrawing. It is not by chance. So we are ready to grab these opportunities. Well, I would also like to talk about the steel industry. When you received the invitation to this meeting, in the last sentence you could read, the steel industry was born out of the stars and is going back to the stars. Actually, steel comes from stars. The ancients thought that steel was to be found in meteorites. As a matter of fact, the steel industry has changed. It is not as it used to be, because we can see in the new generations leading steel companies, the percentage is low, but many companies are investing in human capital, in training, education. Like Christina told us, it is a topic of competencies. There are works that do not exist yet, jobs that do not exist. Think about ESG and sustainability. They will lead to new jobs. We're seeing this, something that did not exist until a short time ago, and that women can actually take care of. The same is also true for technology development. And this is happening in the steel industry. There are many experiences, and we're actually going in a new direction with academies, providing the training and education for new jobs, and roles certainly do play, women certainly do play a fundamental role. In the book, Cristina, Cristiana, and Claudia all go back to the issue, or to the topic, that if companies undergo this change, it's a triple win situation. Companies win, countries win, young people win, because young people also ask for what women are asking for. A company where you feel at home, where you can express yourself. So it is a win-win situation, and our industry is truly undergoing this change. I strongly believe that, for sure, it is a matter of competencies. This is unquestionable. I mean, you can't be in a company unless you have a talent and a competence. I mean, I did what I did because I had the fundamentals. And the women in your fascinating world have got roles thanks to their own strong competencies, to which I would like to add values and the common good. That is something we really do need today. I spent 3.5 years in Russia, from 2019 to 2022, with the COVID and with the beginning of the war in Ukraine. When I left Russia, I left a woman, because I wanted a woman, because I'd been looking for a woman. Because men, there more than in any other country, can be more easily corrupted. The risk that they look for their own visibility and their own interests is higher. Conversely, women work for a common good. So I would like to add also this. I believe that this is a very strong point. And in a moment like this one, when all the values, diversity and inclusion, we can no longer speak of diversity, so let me talk about inclusion, then I can say that we can do more. Yes, we can give a contribution also providing values. Let me summarize all what you said. So the glass is almost half full, but we would like to accelerate. We would like to proceed more speedily compared to what has been done so far. So what do you think of leadership? Because yesterday I heard also when we were talking with Emma Marcegaglia that this is an important theme. I would like to start by sharing my own personal doubt. In the last few years, when people talk of female work, they say women have got so many qualities. They can listen, they're creative, they're empathetic. They have this gentle leadership skill. And to tell you the truth, I have been studying all this for 30 years, and now I have a terrible feeling. That is, that these qualities they all tell about are actually something negative for us. exert a negative influence. Think about the multitasking capabilities. Because of multitasking, women have to do 5 things at a time. And if you do 5 things simultaneously, it is very hard to do them all well. And for sure, you're going to be tired afterwards. So also this gentle leadership, there is so much talk about. I mean, wouldn't this gentle leadership in the end be against women? I'm sure that women can listen, because for thousands of years they have been listening. They got all these qualities, but maybe they shouldn't be too gentle. Maybe we shouldn't be too gentle. What do you think about this? Let's start with Cristina Scocchia. I love this question because I do not believe in female leadership. I don't think there is a female and a male leadership. I believe there is the right leadership, the ethical one, the fair one, the meritocratic one. I don't think that women are characterized by extras or that we lack something. And whenever we say that our values are stronger, that we're gentle, empathetic, prone to listening, we make 97% of the leaders angry. 97% of them are men, and that's the worst way to present ourselves. I believe that this is a stereotype. I do not want to be polemical, but I believe that leadership depends on your character, your personality, the values your parents taught you, the success and the failures in your life. Your values. It does not depend on your gender. It does not depend on whether you have the prostate gland or the uterus. Why should this change the type of leader I am? In my life, in Procter & Gamble, L'Oreal, and family-owned companies, I have seen assertive, hierarchical men, but I've also seen men able to listen to. Empathetic women, as well as assertive women, and I'm one of them. I don't believe that when the ship is sinking, and now we have the geopolitical crisis, the macroeconomic crisis, the tariffs, the green coffee 4 times more expensive than 3 years ago. I mean, when the airplane is in the storm, the pilot is not going to ask you, right, let's democratically vote whether we should go left or right to avoid the storm. Well, in that moment, the pilot must decide, must be assertive, must be audacious. Then, of course, there is the moment of participation, but it depends on the situation. So I believe in a situational leadership. If I can, I'm empathetic, because I strongly believe that leadership is not power, it is responsibility, just like Emma Marcegaglia told us before. But you also have the responsibility of being tough when this is necessary. Otherwise, from being the angel in the home, you become the angel of the board. And I do not want to be a member of the board to be the angel of the board. Cristiana, I do not agree. This is wonderful. Because if everybody agrees, what sort of discussion is it? I believe that there are differences. I know examples of gentle men, but let's state one thing. Being gentle does not mean being weak. It means being full of courage, especially right now. I know of men in our company who are gentle because they have a respectful determination. So when you are confronted with a critical situation, of course, I decide if I'm the pilot, but I tag you along. So, of course, you have to be assertive. Of course, you have to take on your responsibility. You have to be fast because speed is fundamental. But you must also have that sharing capability for the common good. This does not mean that women are good and men are bad. We're all people, individuals. But our society, our history, our education has impressed on us certain behaviors. So a gentle leadership right now is a courageous one. In a moment when the more exclusive you are, the better you look, because this is a trend. So let's take the political scenario. Let's have a look at the heads of states. Mr. Trump, Mr. Lula in Brazil, Russia, Turkey, you name it. So everyone has to be authentic. So if Cristina is in one way and Cristiana is in another way, that's fine, but we must all be authentic, consistent, because another aspect that young people appreciate is consistency. And it is important to be aware of what we are and to have a balance between what we are and what we can do and what we cannot do. Another important aspect is compensation. If I am assertive, maybe I'll need somebody who, when I'm exaggerating, tries to make me see what I'm doing. But let's not forget that authenticity is the number one thing, because when you're not authentic and try to emulate somebody else, then this is not appreciated. Well, perhaps what you're saying is actually complementary, because you can have a certain type of leadership which is based on participation and listening, and this can be useful in many situations, but at the same time, after listening to what people have to tell you, then you decide. Well, this is wonderful. Sometimes we take away the label.
So we can finally end up with the label according to which kindness is only a women thing. But I would like to stress one fact: being assertive and being an asshole is not the same, and this is a great problem for women. Women are raised with a wrong teaching, the teaching according to which assertiveness is a bad word. If you take a look at the dictionary, assertiveness is not a bad word, and it's not a bad word. Assertiveness means not being arrogant, but being able of fighting in a positive way for what you think is right. And this is what everybody expects from a business leader or the captain of a ship. This is important, in my opinion. The other point I would like to make is that maybe I am part of the minority, but I don't want to sound, I don't want to do criticism. I'm just saying that it is not good for women saying that all the good values belong to women and all the bad things belong to men. This is not good for women, okay? Because otherwise we would be talking about defending diversity, but we would be just applying another label on men, and this is not good at all. Okay, thank you for this reasoning and for this debate, because it is very good. It is very good food for thought. Francesca and Isabella, what do you think? What's your standpoint from your observatories? I loved both speeches because I shared both of them. I shared the concept of authenticity. In the steelmaking sector, this concept is really strong because inheriting a male guide, inheriting a male style, a man's style, for example, my father would become mad very often. This was his style. This was his way of behaving, but this is being passed. This is being overcome. In fact, today we work with teams, and teams work differently from individuals. I also believe very strongly in the idea of a team, in the idea of authenticity, as I said before. In the book, authenticity is stressed in every chapter. Authenticity both for men and both for women. Authenticity means that you don't have to wear a mask at work. You need to be yourself. Mr. Zezza talks about communicating identities. Between one identity and another identity, there need to be communication. What would happen if you used your skills and competencies that are business related in your family? Maybe you would save your family, and also the other way around. So the competencies you have in your family could be useful also in your company. So we shouldn't divide the cake. We should just help these identities to communicate. So we need to be ourselves. We need to work as a team, and by doing so, we will overcome contrasts and conflicts. So we need to put together our different identities, being a mother, being an entrepreneur, so we will be able to get the glass half full. Thank you.
Isabella. Well, this is a very enriching exchange. I know that it is not a good idea to mark differences. It's like stressing differences. So I've understood very well what our colleague meant. But I also agree on the authentic, involving capabilities. But let me tell you the following. Women have to acquire leadership skills because for a long time they have not been recognized as leaders, so they do not have an attitude of leadership because of our evolutionary history. We did not have the opportunities. I mean, you do not just need a certain type of personality. You also have to create the context for leaders to grow, for leaders to be recognized. And in order to do that, we have to work hard. They must give us opportunity. More opportunities we have, better leaders we shall be. The rules are fundamental. If we're talking about meritocracy, then it's fine. You're playing your own game. But you must be able to play. If you pretend to involve the woman in this game, then it means that the context is not ready. Thank you very much, and let's widen our scope with a new topic. An important topic that was also mentioned by Cristina Scocchia before. The caretaking, and the expression of a woman's talent at work. In the last 20, 30 years, and this is my impression, companies especially medium and large companies, have done everything possible to try and create a context suitable for women with a creche, kindergarten, a flexible working schedule. A big effort has been made, and some companies are for sure more progressed than the whole country. Women have also made a huge effort. Women in Italy can be divided into 50% who do not work because they did not manage to keep everything together, but the 50% that is working outside the family actually work incredibly hard. But to improve the situation, maybe we need a public welfare that can relieve women from the care activities that are on our shoulders. Because, of course, sharing, together with Emma, we were saying before we must share, but even if we share 50%, if you do not have a creche, a kindergarten, and if you can't take off your taxes the money spent for your parents' caregivers or your children's caregivers, you can't really accelerate. So I really believe that this aspect is still missing. So if I have such a big burden, I can't accelerate. What is your opinion in this respect? You can do it as you like. The order is not important.
I remember the remark by the CEO of Anchor. She recommended me to find the right husband. And she told me so because she got married with a Frenchman, but it's just a case, okay? And this Frenchman gave her the chance to do many things. The question to your answer, the answer to your question, I think it could be the collaboration between public and private sector. We should be talking about co-parenting, not just being a mother or being a father. Co-parenting. That's why we are collaborating with the government so that everybody starts to talk about co-parenting. Parents should share the load of caring. Parents should raise their sons and daughters together. As young couples, both the mother and the father want to enjoy the way they raise their sons and daughters. So also for companies, talent retention is favored by co-parenting and shared parenting. I agree with that a lot. I think that public and private effort is needed so that parents can combine their professional and private lives. This is a matter of culture. I introduced smart working, remote working in the company in 2014. I came from Procter & Gamble and I was joining L'Oreal. Italy was, together with England, the first country to introduce remote working. So they asked me whether I was introducing smart working only for women, and I replied, no, remote working for everybody. I'm not saying that women should work from home because they need to have the time to take care of their sons and daughters. I'm introducing smart working for everybody because also men should take care of their sons and daughters and parents. Many women took the chance of do smart working. The problem is that many of the women used remote working to take their sons and daughters to the doctors. On the other hand, men, their husbands, use smart working to play futsal with their friends. That's why we need the public and private cooperation. We need more kindergartens, more services. I can give you the possibility to do remote working. But husbands use smart working in a very negative way. In fact, when I go to talk to teachers at school, I always find myself in the middle of women. There is no husband there. There are no fathers there. So, okay, services are good. They are a good idea, but please, we need to start to wonder, how did Northern Europe countries manage to do so? Because in Northern Europe, both girls and boys play with dolls because they have recognized that men and women have the same rights. Thank you. Francesca and Isabella, we have a problem. Cultural evolution is slow. Cultural changes are slow. They need a lot of time. This is the main problem, a very serious one. Maybe we will need 30 years more to find more men at school when parents go to talk to teachers. But is that even possible? Will our sons and daughters be able sooner or later to live in a different world? Well, I noticed that the average age went down in Feralpi. This problem actually never existed. In fact, men go to the laundry, men go to school to talk to the sons or daughters' teacher. So the problem is not that men play football with their friends, in the generation at least. In fact, new generations are much wiser than us. A company should make services available. The traditional HR department would have never made these services available because in a traditional HR department they would have deemed these services to be additional, to be provisional. No, they are not additional or provisional. They are synonym of an evolved company, an advanced company. So we do these choices not to have a better rating in the ESG, not to access funding or financing. We do these things to be competitive. We provide these services to be more competitive. So it is okay to have a slow growth, but we could also accelerate it. For example, using a good governance, a good corporate governance. If you have a son or daughter, you need to focus on courage and trust. Trust gives you the chance to have more flexible and accountable models. When you create those changes in a company, companies perform better. Valentina, you have mentioned trust, which is crucial. A CEO who implements remote working is a CEO who trusts their employees. This CEO wouldn't do micromanagement. So trust is essential, is fundamental, and empowerment is fundamental too, because empowerment gives the chance to people to open up, to talk, and to share their problems, and that dialogue happens between workers, between employees, and entrepreneurs. This happens only if you have a real cultural change in place. You need to trust people if you want to be trusted. Okay, Francesca, we are going to close this round table, and then I will ask you a final question to which I need a very short answer. Okay. Can I avoid your question and rather tell you another story like the one of Christina? Because I see so many students around me, so many students from Cattolica University Milan. Thank you for coming. I think that today, more than ever, all those stories talking about trust and about courage can inspire people, can feed people. And the story I would like to tell you, the story I dedicated the last chapter of the book to, this is the story about this girl who was born 100 years before me in a small village in the province of Brescia. 7 sons and daughters. The father of this family sent the men, the boys to work. Fiorina is the name of this girl. Actually, her real name was Ottavia. Fiorina is similar to flower, and she was as beautiful as a flower. Well, Fiorina decided to study to be a midwife, obstetric. And in that period, this work was becoming very, very common. She studied, she got the degree in 1905. So she wanted to become an obstetrics. She got the diploma, she got the university degree from a very famous rector. And in the municipality of Flero, which is the village I'm talking about, well, they were looking for they needed in this village an obstetrician, so she got to Flero and she became the obstetrician of that village. These were the years in which women had their babies at home. And apart from being a very important woman of science and technology, I remember her every time I got in the church, because in the church they dedicated a picture to this woman, because she was a beautiful woman. She was a great doctor, and she was human. The human touch she had was special in her work. My great-grandfather was a butcher, and she usually lent his hat to farmers because they worked outdoor. And everybody remembers this couple. I really wish you to do your work with a human touch. Please work with vocation, because we have so many things to share with the rest of the world, and we need to be proactive in our job. We need to do our best. This will make the difference. Thank you.
Sure. The work is actually what defines us. Just one very short answer, since we do not have much time. In this historical moment, regarding diversity and inclusion, we're seeing that President Trump is just closing the door to diversity and inclusion. What about Italy and Europe after these 4 months of the American Trump mandate? Do we run the risk of following that trend, or is it clear here that that trend is going to remain overseas because we want to move towards meritocracy, valorizing women, keeping together meritocracy and female participation, which seems totally obvious to me? So really, very, very quickly, Cristina. I agree with Emma. The woke culture has also caused a lot of damage because it was exaggerated. And all what is too exaggerated creates a reaction. It's like a foreign body and a rejection. I don't believe that in Italy and Europe we are going to have the same problem, because we did not exaggerate it with a woke culture. We did not create these foreign bodies against which there is a rejection. We are slower, unfortunately, but we are more authentic, so we are not exaggerated. We believe in merit. Maybe it takes us more years, but whatever the US are going to do, in the end, I want to be optimistic, this is not going to affect our slow but continuous march towards social improvement, inclusivity, and enhancement of all diversities, gender diversities, but not only. Cristiana, I agree. We are very different. Coca-Cola in the US is a long drink full of ice, not in Italy. We are very different. It won't be the same thing. I believe it is a big opportunity, because if you really believe in this, you're gonna do what you want to do, and those who just follow the trends will be unmasked. So it is a great opportunity, especially for Europe. I'm thinking about my company. 50% of sales go to the US and 50% to Europe. We're running a huge risk with America, with the tariffs and all what is happening in social and economic terms. It is a big risk. Europe is solid. We are optimizing our product portfolio. We are optimizing production. Europe, for us, is a reference for 2025 because it will allow us to balance a little bit, not completely, but it will counterbalance the problem. So a big opportunity which we should not miss. Thank you very much. Isabella, I am also optimistic. I'm very optimistic. The sentiment following the letter Mr. Trump wrote to suggest multinational company to cancel several policies in the social and equity field has been a huge flop. Actually, it caused a counter-reaction, and people are consistently going the way. A company does not want to run such a high reputational risk if there are no action plans, industrial plans to support this. So these companies have already dedicated budget and activities to this progress. So I'm absolutely sure that we're not going to step back. And if we're here today, that's already a positive signal. So these waves can also be an opportunity to analyze yourself, your strategy, and the core of your strategy. I read a beautiful article in Sole 24 Ore about social intentionality. CSR, corporate social responsibility, has almost been overcome because the term now is social intentionality, trying to see what is at the heart of the mission of a company that originates the vision, the strategy, the daily decisions. So these are storms that give us the opportunity to start again, and companies that really do want to progress really do that. Thank you very much for this comparison. That was very frank and authentic, and thank you very much to our audience. Thank you, Rita. Thank you.
First things first, I'ma say all the words inside my head. I'm fired up and tired of the way that things have been. Oh, ooh, the way that things have been. Oh, ooh. I was broken from a young age, taking my soak into the masses, writing my poems for the few that look at me, took to me, shook at me, feeling me, singing from heartache, from the pain, taking my message from the veins, speaking my lesson from the brain, seeing the beauty through the